Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and it's been a few years now since the current generation Toyota Tundra hit the market. We drove a number of them at the launch event back in 2022, and then we spent time with the TRD Pro with the iForce Max hybrid powertrain, but it's been a while since I've spent time in a Tundra, and I wanted to be in a more everyman sort of spec. So regularly I hit up Toyota and I say, hey, do you happen to have an SR5 or anything like that? And they're usually like, no, we've got a TRD Pro and a capstone. I'm like, well, that's not really what most people are realistically buying. So finally, Toyota came out with this, the TRD Rally version, which is kind of a cool combination. It essentially gives you the interior features of an SR5 and most of the styling of an SR5, but then it gives you the Bilstein shock package and the highway all-terrains of the TRD Off-Road, and the locking differential, and then it gives you a few TRD Pro bits like the exhaust and the shifter and the steering wheel, and then it gives you some stickers around here and some special wheel accents to distinguish it as a unique model. So it's sort of this big blend combination of features for the Toyota Tundra, and this one, as you're looking at it, coming in just a hair over $62,000. Now, if you go on Toyota's website and you look up the 2025 Tundra, you see one of these TRD Rally models riding alongside dirt bikes out in the desert or something like that. So today we are going to do dirt bikes with the Tundra TRD Rally. I've got two motorcycles we're going to load up in the back here. We're going to head out to some off-road trails. We're going to test the bikes. We're going to test the truck. And we're going to kind of talk about what this has been like to use as a daily driver truck over the last week, and then also to use for some sporting activities. Unfortunately, this is the shortest bed option. This is the 5-footer. But what makes the Tundra unique here in 2025 is it's the only 1500 series half-ton truck that you can buy with a full crew cab and a 6.5-foot bed, or it's either 6 or 6.5. I'll actually have to check the measurements. This might be a 5.5-foot bed as well. But you can also get it in the extended cab version, so 4 doors, shorter than this, but extended cab with an 8-foot bed. Ford was the only other manufacturer still offering that back up to a year ago or so, but for 2025, Ford only allows you to get the 8-foot bed with a 2-door or a heavy duty, a Super Duty truck. So Toyota is now the only half-ton truck you can get with that 8-foot bed. And I know there aren't a ton of people getting 8-foot beds on their half-ton trucks. I know it's more of a work spec sort of thing, but I appreciate that Toyota offers it, because realistically, if I'm buying a pickup truck, I want to maximize my utility, and so there's a decent chance that I'm going to want to get something like that 8-foot bed, or at the very least, I'm going to get the full crew cab and the 6.5-foot bed. Those are getting harder and harder to find on half-ton pickup trucks. So anyway, we have the short bed option. I would prefer to have the longer bed, but even in these press models, they're mostly just getting the short bed. But let's load up the bikes in here. We'll take a look at the bed area and then get out on the highway and talk about what the truck has been like. Now is a great time to mention that this video is sponsored by LazeFit floor mats. We use the LazeFit mats on the Nissan Frontier and the Ford Maverick. Helped keep the carpets clean, and they're laser measured just right to fit perfectly in the vehicle. I was honestly really impressed with the quality and the texture, kind of the material that they use for the mats. So if you want to get a good set of mats for your vehicle at a good price, check the link below for the LazeFit mats. Use the code DailyMotor and you can get yourself a little discount. Interestingly, even in this essentially SR5 grade, you get powered down tailgate. It's been kind of nice throughout the week to have that just pop down, but other times it's kind of like, really? We're spending money on this, but losing out on some other features? It's kind of interesting. This one coming with the optional Toyota bed mat there, kind of rubberized. We do have a 400-watt wall style outlet, and then kind of a rugged plastic bed liner. Now, interestingly, this one has the tracks in order to do tie downs, but it doesn't have the actual tie down things. I bet you they're inside the cab. All right, let's get the bikes loaded up. There we are, all loaded up. We've got a full-on dirt bike YZ450F on the left, and then 24 Honda CRF 300L Dual Sport on the right. And looking at them, I suppose the Yamaha has leaned pretty dramatically, but I think we're going to be okay. They're both pretty darn secure, strapped in, And you can see how if this were the medium bed option, the 6.5 foot, we'd be able to close a tailgate no problem. It'd be a lot more secure, be easier to put my things in there. But with the short bed, I'm just barely onto the tailgate. Not worried about that. We're strapped in well. And we are ready to hit the trail. And see no problem for the suspension here. We'll have to get the truck a little bit more solid ground to see how it's squatting, but that's only about 600 pounds or so in the back, maybe close to 550. Should be no problem for this. You can also see lots of space in the back with this full crew cab. I actually have my gas can in here because I don't want it floating around in the back. Once I get some fuel in it, I could put it back there and it'll be pretty safe if I strap it. But again, because I can't close the tailgate, might just leave it in here. But got our gear, plenty of space there, some oil, in good shape. I've also enjoyed the Tundra's general layout up front. A lot of places to put things. Got some snacks, camera gear. Been doing stuff with Alyssa throughout the week as well, and it's nice having so many different compartments and accesses, and no silly screen up there like we had in the Ram, just an actual cargo compartment. One thing that has been getting me, and I think it's just because we own a different vehicle that has its climate control adjustment right here, but I keep turning the volume knob when I mean to turn the climate, adjust the temperature. Again, I'm sure it's just something you get used to. There is an extended cab 8-foot bed Tundra way over there, and you can see putting it to full use. I think a lot of work trucks prefer having that 8-foot bed because you still want to be able to put some things behind you or maybe take people. But look at all that space he's got now. It just makes your truck so much more usable. We've made it out to the staging area, and the TRD rally was great, both on the trip up here as well as this 1.5 miles we had to travel down this broken up dirt road in order to get here. We'll film that on the way back and talk about it. We got the bikes shot, wanted to make sure we got that out of the way, and then we'll load everything back up and get rolling. But before we do, I wanted to test out the TRD rally a little bit. I mean, after all, we've got the locking rear differential, we've got the MTS modes, we've got the highway all-terrain tires. Let's give it a go. And we obviously don't have the ground clearance of something like a TRD Pro, but let's see what we can go explore with here. Now, I've been very happy with these Bilstein dampers all week in kind of a on-street setting. Let's see how they are off-road. Kind of fun to be driving next to and under the 15 freeway. Here's what I like about the TRD off-road packages from Toyota is you're not taking these trucks out to be your primary toy. You're not going out and jumping them and going high speeds and hooning them necessarily, but you're using the truck for off-road abilities, whether you're needing to get somewhere with the truck or, like in my case today, needing to get somewhere with my toys, and so I needed the truck to be able to do it. These shocks are tuned very capably, but also very comfortably. So even though I'm running right here 20 miles per hour alongside of a railroad track, which, come to think of it, I would be pretty close to a train if it came through here. I should probably be a little bit more careful. But you can go out and do these things and do them comfortably, and if you do find yourself in a trail that's a little sketchier, you can probably survive it. That's what we're going to do right here, is see what that surviving is like. Right now, so far, just in two-wheel drive, everything open. Ooh, okay. This is already actually getting maybe a little bit too gnarly for this truck. Oh boy. Okay. I think we might be turning around, folks. Okay, well, let's get into 4 low right now. Okay, now, and we'll go MTS. This is, ooh, Mogul. That's a new one. This is rock. Do that. Bring up our cameras. And let's see what we can do without damaging this truck. Wow. That's incredible. And that's the thing, is I'm blown away with the capability of this truck, but also the comfort. I mean, it's just the way it absorbs the bumps. I'm not getting jostled around the way I was in the last few trucks I took hardcore off-roading. It was the Nissan Frontier Pro 4X and the Jeep Gladiator, both incredibly capable machines, but I just was constantly getting bumped around. This is so quiet and smooth. Have you ever driven along the highway and looked off at some of the trails and thought, huh, those are cool. I wonder what those are like. Here it is. This is what they're like. Also, Toyota, Brenda and Christine, if you're watching this, I apologize. I think you said something along the lines of dirt roads. I don't know if this is exactly what you had in mind. This is one thing, though, that's kind of annoying with the Toyotas, is the parking sensors keep coming on, and you have a little pop-up that comes on the screen and says, press OK to mute temporarily. And you do that, and then as soon as you get up to a little bit of speed like this and you slow back down, they come on. In my opinion, you should turn it off once and it should stay off until you either manually turn them back on or the truck's restarted. Especially if you're in 4 low and rock mode for MTS. So here's the situation for you. Yeah, maybe you're not going to use this truck to do this type of driving primarily, but what if when I was out on the motorcycle back there, I had an accident or the bike broke down and I needed to go retrieve it, and I was out on maybe a trail like this? Having something capable like this Tundra, the TRD off-road or TRD rally, depending on what you choose, means I could go and retrieve the bike. Oh man. Hopefully. Oh, I'm gonna have to stay right on this line, aren't I? Alright, well, we're hanging right. Might be utilizing crawl control here, let's see. And with the camera, you can see right where my tires are going with those yellow lines. Appreciate that in this situation. There's a YouTuber out there named Chloe Kuo, and she has a few Tacomas. And when she purchased her 3rd gen, she opted for the locking diff with the TRD off-road. And what she told me is it's not necessarily that she uses it often, but if she ever finds herself in a situation in which she needs it, she'd rather have it rather than not have it, if that makes sense. And yeah, I mean, sometimes you go out and adventure and do lifestyle and you get yourself into situations. Now, remarkably, even with these highway all-terrain tires, I still haven't needed to go into crawl control or use the locking diff or anything like that. But again, good to know that if I come around one of these corners and we've got a really steep incline to tackle, I've got it. Last set of whoops and bumps to get back to the staging area. Big heavy truck, just kind of wallowing along here, but again, doing a really nice job. Ugh. So I'm going to get the Tundra back here, position it up, load up the bikes, and let's head on back home, wrap up our thoughts on this truck. Here we are, bikes all loaded up again. Honestly, decent height right here for loading them, not too bad. Got everything kind of cleared, tie down points working well. Rubber mat helps from things sliding around too much. And we're ready to head back down there. And like I said, it's about 1.5 miles of kind of what you already saw over there. So this is where, again, those Bilstein shocks kind of coming into play. Gonna really help. Cool shot here too. So let's hit the road. So this is what I was talking about. I mean, you might want to have something like this TRD Rally just for getting to trails like this to help smooth it out. And what if you were out and about and a little flash flood came or something like that and the trail got all washed out and it was muddy, and you know, just having that ability to get yourself out of those situations is huge. Coming in near the end of our drive, which is also the end of our week here with the Tundra TRD Rally. Like I said, it's been cool to finally spend time with a more everyman's grade of the Toyota Tundra. It's been a few years since this gen came out, and trucks are constantly changing, constantly churning. Different ones coming out, different special editions, different powertrains, generations, but Toyotas typically keep it simple and keep it around for a long time. So love it or hate it, this 3.5 twin turbo and this generation of Tundra is going to be here for a while. So let's go through some of my pros and cons after the week and a good amount of mileage with this truck. I think I've done 400 or 500 miles, a lot of different types of driving. Picked up patio furniture in the back, done the highway fuel economy test, had the baby in the back, the motorcycles, a lot of things. Oh, there's a little 6.5 foot bed crew cab action there. Very nice Tundra. Getting used for work, as you can see. So, first con is the technology suite. Now, I don't want that to be misinterpreted to say that it's anything up in front. I actually like this layout here. Real analog gauges, a small screen in front that just tells me the few things that I need to know, and then it looks good. It's functional. I like that. It's the center screen that I've grown weary of over the last week. It's nice that this TRD Rally package gets the larger screen, so Apple CarPlay and Android Auto look great on there, but the built-in technology from Toyota is basic. I mean, essentially, you're just using this to connect to your phone, and that takes 30 seconds or so sometimes after you start up the truck to actually get connected wirelessly. And this truck doesn't have any sort of wireless device charger, so even though you've got wireless phone protection, your phone battery is going to get sucked down if you're using it. I've had multiple disconnects from this system, not only in this Tundra, but other Toyotas with the same system as well. So it's a bit of a shame. And then when you start considering an off-road spec truck like this, or even worse, something like the TRD Pro, there's no cool information for something like elevation or what's going on with your drivetrain, where power is being sent, this, that, or the other. It's a very basic off-road screen. And this one is not exactly technology, but it factors in. Touchscreens should have a little place for you to rest your finger in order to stabilize your hand so you can touch things while you're driving. This screen doesn't have that. It's just a big floating screen, so it means my whole arm kind of has to steady itself and then bloop, click where it needs to while I'm driving. It sounds very subtle, but get into a vehicle with a touchscreen and a ledge down at the bottom, and you'll find you can kind of rest your hand and then tap much easier and much more specifically, whereas this system, it's a lot more difficult. A lot of brands are moving over to Android Automotive-based Google systems, and honestly, I know Toyota went through a huge redesign of this system, and it's fine. It's a lot better than what we had, but I would much rather have one of the systems like you get in the GMs or in a Honda. Next, the interior materials. Now, I'm not going to harp on things like hard plastic up here in a truck. I never touch it. It looks fine. Fair enough. But the other materials that I do touch more regularly, not a fan of the steering wheel with this golf ball feel. And around the cabin, everything has a very hard, cold, and utilitarian feel to it. Now, hey, some people are going to appreciate that for their truck. And if you're getting into something like a Limited or a Capstone, yeah, it's going to have nicer materials inside. But between the rattles we heard in the sound system test coming from the right door and the general hard chunkiness around here, it does get a little bit harder to fall in love with the truck at $60,000. And then there's the piano black plastic down here. There should not be piano black plastic in a truck. It's already looking scratched. There's only like 2,000 miles on this truck, and I can see scratches in it from getting wiped down. If it's a truck, you're getting it dirty. You're tossing things in here. You've got keys and dirt and stuff that's going to scratch that up so quickly. Can't have the piano black. Next con, the engine sound. Even with the TRD Pro exhaust in here, there's never a situation in which I go, oh yeah, that 3.5 sounds really good. Now, I actually don't really mind hearing the turbochargers. That's kind of fun. But the engine, never sounds great. And I would rather it just have a very quiet exhaust and for it to get out of the way instead of hearing it when I'm cruising on the highway. The last con really should be more near the end of the video because it's kind of a wrap-up thought. But the truck lacks character and soul. And some of you are going to get instantly angry when I say that. But I was talking with my brother Nathan, who has owned a Toyota Sequoia and now owns a Lexus CT200H. And we both kind of agree that Toyotas are very good cars. We love them. We appreciate them for what they are. But in general, they lack a character and a soul that other brands do a better job at engineering into their vehicles. And it's a combination and a sum of many different elements and design choices and engineering decisions that come together for a vehicle to either speak to you or not speak to you. And driving the Tundra for the last week, I just don't fall in love with it the way I do with some other trucks. There are many different ways to have character in a truck. It can have a big chunky character, it can have a smooth character, but trucks like the F-150 have this way of feeling like a good, comfortable, broken-in pair of jeans. And every time I drive one, doesn't matter the trim, doesn't matter if it's a Raptor or a 2.7 XL, I go, you know what, this truck just feels right. And the Tundra feels smart, it feels competent, but I've never fallen in love with it, and I won't be sad when it leaves. The closest I get to bonding with this truck is doing something like we did earlier with that off-roading situation, where I was genuinely in a situation where I needed the truck to perform and come through, and it did. So if you're using this truck for work, or you're using it for high mileage driving, and you need that dependability, then I could see you forming a bond with this truck and growing to appreciate it for what it's capable of. But I felt similarly about the previous generation Tundra too. I just drove one recently. My father's owned one. I just never love it. I never do. All right, getting into the pros. First off, the ease of use. You hop in this truck, you throw it into drive, and it just works. Aside from some of the quibbles, like the touchscreen being a little slow and not very easy to accurately touch, it's straightforward. We've got physical climate controls, a bunch of other physical controls around the steering wheel, around the center console. The layout is fantastic for how many different places there are to put things. Different elements slide and move around and open nicely. It's a very easy truck to get to use initially, and then also on a day-to-day basis. Next pro, I talked about it at the beginning, but the configurations that you can get. Now, I suppose pretty much all 1500 series trucks have a lot of different configurations and options. I mean, you go in the build configurator of an F-150 and you could spend all day in it. But again, the fact that you can get those longer beds in a lot of different trims, I love that. I do. It's hey, if I'm buying a truck, I want it to be utilitarian to a degree, and I want it to work for what I need it to work for. And for me, that's bed sizes. Next pro, the ride quality. Like I said, these Bilstein dampers, just fantastic, whether you're doing off-road driving or whether you're doing highway driving, whether you got stuff in the bed or you're driving by yourself. It doesn't matter. Toyota trucks have some of my favorite rides, and it's because they're just very soft, very squishy. It's not a firm, aggressive ride. Never once have I been driving this truck throughout the week and thought, oh, I can't wait to toss this into a corner. I don't need sport mode. I don't need firm damping. I just want a truck that's comfortable. The ride on this truck is exactly what I want. And the last pro is just that Toyota dependability. It's the fact that, again, if you're putting down big money for a truck and you're signing up for something like a 5+ year finance agreement, you want a truck that's going to spend as little time in the shop and as much time on the road as possible. And that's what people pay for with Toyota. And it's not only just big things like the engine or the transmission or anything like that. It's little things going wrong throughout the truck as well. And say what you want. I know a bunch of people are going to climb in and go, oh, the motor's not as reliable as the V8. It's having issues. Fair. I know Toyota's had some issues with these trucks. But the difference with Toyota compared to name your domestic brand is that Toyota is going to do right by their customers and by their products. I can't say that as confidently with the other brands. We see time and time again issues that Fords or Chevys, GMs, Stellantis, doesn't matter, issues that they have with their vehicles, and that company has done their best effort at sweeping it under the rug, at litigating, at figuring out how they can not have to pay. Doesn't matter how much it is, how can they not pay and save as much money as possible and essentially screw over their customers if need be. Toyota, when they figure out that there's an issue, they say, hey, there's an issue with the truck, let's fix it. Let's do a recall. Let's make it better, and let's improve upon our product. So yes, is this twin turbocharged 3.4 liter V6 slightly less reliable than something like Toyota's old 4.7? Yeah, those 4.7s were just crazy bulletproof. But let's not pretend that the 5.7 didn't occasionally have issues and didn't have problems with it. So I would, if it were my truck and I needed to own it and put a lot of miles on it, I would seriously be considering Toyota just from that dependability and reliability aspect. So I like the Tundra. I do. I've enjoyed spending time with it. It's just a truck that has a very specific market, and to that market, it does very, very well. But before we wrap up we do have to put the Tundra TRD Rally on the Daily Motor leaderboard. Current leaders on the Daily Motor leaderboard: Hyundai Santa Fe, Jeep Gladiator, Nissan Armada. And again, if we look up there at that Gladiator, still a little high maybe in second place, but what I really loved about it is the fact that it just felt cool. The ability to take the roof off, go off-roading, take people, put things in the truck. I mean, it wasn't as good of a truck by this as the Tundra by any means. But in today's day and age of modern cars, if you're going to drop 50, 60 grand on something, have it be something fun. Have it be something that really stirs your soul and speaks to you and has character. And that's why I have it ranked so high. It was just a cool truck. Where are we going to put this one? Have we tested any other 1500s? We had the Ram Rebel X. That's pretty low, 18th place. I do think I like the Tundra better than the Ram. I like the engine so much more in the Ram. Tech suite, balanced. The Tundra makes more sense to me in most ways. So yeah, the Ram's a little bit more luxurious, but I would take the Toyota over the Ram. I think it's going right here. 13th place, below the Civic Hatch Hybrid and above the Mercedes Maybach S680. It's kind of taken the top of the cars that are good, but again, just a little bit forgettable. But I have been impressed. I do like what the TRD Rally package offers, kind of this capability and cool factor at a more attainable price point. And you can't argue with the capabilities of the Tundra. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the truck, check the link below. We've got our fuel economy test and the sound system test, the winding road drive. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.